The 9 worlds of Norse mythology are full of bizarre mythical creatures. While Norse mythology is predominantly about the Norse gods, these creatures flesh out the stories by challenging the gods and changing destiny. In this video, let's take a look at 15 of the most legendary Norse mythology creatures and the roles they played. Number 1. Elves. In Norse mythology, there are 2 different types of elves: the Dakalfar, more commonly known as the Dark Elves, and the Liasalfar, the Light Elves. The Dakalfar lived under the earth, similar to dwarves, but were completely black in color. The Liasalfar, on the other hand, were fairer than the sun to look at. All Norse elves were very powerful and had the ability to cause human diseases, as well as to cure them. If an elf and a human had children, they looked just like humans but possessed impressive, magical, and intuitive powers. Number 2. Huldra. A Huldra, also known as Huldr, is a female creature typically depicted as a beautiful woman with a crown of flowers and long blonde hair. But the Huldra wasn't all that she seemed. She was a seductive monster with the tail of a cow who would lure young men into the mountains and then imprison them. According to the myths, if a young man married the Huldra, she was fated to turn into an ugly old woman, but on the flip side, she would gain extreme strength and lose her tail. Number 3. Fenrir. Fenrir is one of the most famous wolves in history, the offspring of the giantess Angrboda and the Norse god Loki. His siblings are the world serpent Jormungandr and the goddess Hel. All 3 of them were prophesied to contribute to the end of the Norse world. Fenrir was raised by the gods of Asgard, who knew that he would kill Odin during Ragnarok. They tried to prevent that from happening by having him chained with special bindings. Eventually, Fenrir was able to free himself of those bindings, and he went on to fulfill his destiny. Interestingly, Fenrir wasn't viewed as an evil creature by the Norse. He was simply an inevitable part of the natural order of life. Fenrir serves as the basis of many later literary wolves. Number 4. The Kraken. The Kraken is a famous sea monster depicted as a gigantic squid or octopus. In some mythical Norse tales, the body of the Kraken was said to be so large that people mistook it for an island. If anyone set foot on the island, they would sink and die, becoming food for the huge monster. Whenever it rose to the surface, the Kraken caused large whirlpools, which made it easier for it to attack ships. The Kraken lured in fish by releasing its thick excrement into the water. It had a strong fishy smell that attracted other fish to the area for it to devour. It's likely that the inspiration for the Kraken was the giant squid, which can grow to massive sizes. Number 5. The Mare. The Mare was a malicious creature in Norse mythology, known to give people nightmares by sitting on their chests as they slept. If you hadn't made the connection already, this is where we got the word nightmare from. Many believe that this terrifying beast embodied the souls of living people who left their bodies in the night. Some say mares were also witches who transformed into animals like cats, dogs, frogs, and oxen when their spirits left them and wandered about. It was said that when the mare touched living things such as people, trees, or cattle, it caused their hair, or branches, to become entangled. Number 6. Jormungandr. Also called the Midgard Serpent or the World Serpent, Jormungandr was the brother of Fenrir, born to Angrboda and Loki. Like Fenrir, the World Serpent had a key role to play during Ragnarok. Jormungandr was prophesied to grow so large that he could encompass the whole world and bite his own tail. Once Jormungandr released his tail, Ragnarok would begin. Jormungandr was either a snake or a dragon that Odin the Allfather threw into the sea surrounding Midgard to keep him from fulfilling his destiny. Jormungandr will be killed by Thor during Ragnarok, but not before Thor is poisoned by the serpent's venom. Number 7. Audumbla. Audumbla was a primeval cow in Norse mythology. Although her role in the myths is short, its importance can't be overstated, as it was she who made it possible for life to flourish. Audumbla was a beautiful animal that was said to have 4 rivers of milk that ran from her udders. She lived on salty rime rocks, which she licked away for 3 days, revealing Buri, the grandfather of Odin. She also nourished the giant Ymir, the primordial frost, with her milk. Audumbla was said to have been the noblest of cows and is the only one of her kind that's mentioned by name. Number 8. Niddhogr. Niddhogr, or Niddhogg, was an enormous dragon with massive claws, bat-like wings, scales all over his body, and horns erupting from his head. He gnawed continuously at the roots of Yggdrasil, the World Tree. Given that Yggdrasil kept the 9 realms of the universe bound together, Niddhogg's actions were literally gnawing at the roots of the cosmos. The corpses of all criminals such as adulterers, oathbreakers, and murderers were banished to Nadenstrand, where Niddhogg ruled and waited to chew on their bodies. Number 9. Ratatoskr. Ratatoskr was a mythical squirrel that ran up and down Yggdrasil, the Norse tree of life, delivering messages between the eagle perched atop the tree and Niddhogr, who lived under its roots. He was a mischievous creature who enjoyed any chance to fuel a spiteful relationship between the two beasts by ferrying an insult to one of them every now and then and adding embellishments to their messages. Some say that Ratatoskr was a crafty squirrel who had secret intentions to destroy the Tree of Life, but because he lacked the strength to do it himself, he manipulated Niddhogr and the eagle into attacking Yggdrasil. Number 10. Huggin and Muninn. Huggin and Muninn were 2 ravens in Norse mythology who were helpers of Odin, the Allfather. Their role was to act as the eyes and ears of Odin by flying around their world and bringing him information. When they returned, they would sit on his shoulders and whisper everything they had seen during their flight. The 2 ravens symbolize Odin's omnipotence and vast knowledge. Although they were pets, Odin paid more attention to them than he did his own mortal and heavenly subjects. They were even worshipped by the Nordic people and depicted with Odin on many artifacts. Number 11. Norns. Arguably, the Norns are the most powerful beings in all of Norse mythology. The Norns govern the lives of gods and mortals and decide what is going to happen, including when and how. The Norns were comprised of 3 female figures whose names were Urd, or word, meaning the past or just fate. Verdani, meaning what is presently coming into being. And Skuld, meaning what shall be. The Norns were also responsible for taking care of Yggdrasil, the tree that held the 9 worlds together. Their job was to keep the tree from dying by taking water from the well of Urd and pouring it on its branches. However, this care only slowed down the death of the tree, but didn't prevent it entirely. The Norns are very similar to the fates of Greek mythology and may have been inspired by the Greek version. Number 12. Sleipnir. Sleipnir was one of the most unique creatures in Norse mythology. He was the horse of Odin and had 8 legs, one set of 4 at the back and another in the front, so that he could keep one leg in each of the realms. His mother was Loki, the Norse god who had turned himself into a mare and was impregnated by a stallion. This makes Sleipnir the only creature in Norse mythology, and probably most myths, born of 2 fathers. Sleipnir was a powerful and beautiful steed with a stormy gray coat and was described as the best of all horses. Odin took great care of him and always rode him when going to war. Number 13. Trolls. There were 2 types of trolls in Norse mythology. Ugly trolls that lived on mountains and in the forests, and small trolls that looked like gnomes and lived underground. Both types weren't very bright, and they were quite malevolent, especially towards humans. Many of them possessed magical and prophetic powers. It's said that the many boulders on the Scandinavian countryside were created when trolls got caught in the sunlight, which turned them into stone. Some of the boulders landed there when trolls used them as weapons. Number 14. Valkyrie. Valkyries were female spirits who served Odin in battle. While many of the Valkyries in Norse myths had their own names, they were usually viewed and talked about as a homogeneous party of beings all sharing a common purpose. Valkyries were beautiful and elegant maidens with white skin and hair as golden as the sun, or as black as the dark night. It was their job to choose who would die in battle and who would live, using their powers to cause death to those they didn't favor. It was also their role to take the slain heroes to Valhalla, home of Odin's army, where they waited, preparing for Ragnarok. Number 15. Draugar. The Draugar were hideous creatures that looked like zombies and possessed superhuman strength. They had the ability to increase their size when they wanted and swallow a person whole, and smelled strongly of decaying bodies. Draugar often lived in their own graves, defending treasure they were buried with, but they also wreaked havoc on the living and tortured people who had done them wrong in life. It is said that the Draugar can die a second death if destroyed in some way, such as being burned or dismembered. Many people believe that if they were greedy, unpopular, or evil in life, they would become a Draugar after they died. Although the creatures of Norse mythology are fewer in number than those found in most other mythologies, they make up for it in uniqueness and ferocity. They remain some of the most wondrous and unique mythological creatures ever to exist. What's more, many of these creatures have influenced modern culture and can be seen in modern literature, arts, and movies. Which of these Norse creatures did you find the most fascinating? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing for more interesting videos. Thank you for watching.